All right, and now we are back and ready to talk about the arm. So I'm going to do the arm from the upper arm, the lower arm, into the hand. So we're going to have three primary bones, three long bones to talk about, and then the hand. So we had finished doing the scapula, so the shoulder blade, the collarbone area. So now we're going to start going down the arm. So the first thing you have is the humerus. Fits on my shirt. Okay. Now, this is on page 8 of the handout, and I'm also going to be referencing in page 278 when it comes to the humerus in the book. Now, so again, how you're looking at this, I have found long and hard. This is a right humerus. So this is how it goes. So this is the anterior view. So on the humerus, you're going to have the socket part, and again, I'll point out exactly, what the markings are. But so the socket part, this is what goes in the shoulder. And so again, this is the front view, and then you're going to have these little like toe-looking things pointing towards you. So this is the front. The humerus from the back is going to have, this is the part that goes into the shoulder. You'll be able to see this ridge here, and then there's a big hole in the bottom at the back. So this is the posterior view of the humerus. So let's switch back around. Let's look at the anterior view and talk about some of the bone markings that are on it. So on an anterior view, the first thing you need to know is you need to know the head. The head of the humerus is what actually connects into the shoulder. So that would be this portion here. So this is the head of the humerus. On the posterior side, this is the head of the humerus, this entire round area that fits into the socket of the shoulder. Now, next we have the anatomical neck. Now there are two necks on the humerus, so be careful, make sure you get the correct one. So the anatomical neck of the humerus is the portion that is right behind the head. So, your head is connected to your neck. So anatomically, the portion of the humerus that is connected to the head. So this right down in this area. On the posterior side, this area. This is the anatomical neck right there. Okay? That region. Now, there is the surgical neck. Don't know why they said surgical, but they decided that would be this portion all the way down at the bottom. So that you kind of like draw a ring around it, like a ring around the rosy. So when you get down here, so this is the surgical neck portion of the humerus. And so from the posterior side, same thing. Right here, this ring right above my fingers. So right here. This entire ring all the way around. This is the surgical neck. So here we are, anterior side of the humerus. Next, the greater tubercle. That's a fun word, tubercle. So the greater tubercle on the anterior side is going to be this one up here. This is the greater one. I don't know, it's not necessarily any bigger, but it is this one. And then the lesser one is the one that's a little bit below it. So it's kind of right there. So here's the greater one, here's the lesser one. And then if you were to look on the back, you can see the greater one, which is this one. So this is the greater one. And then from the front, you can't, or from the back, you can't see the lesser one because it's right here. The greater one right up here, you can also see it in the back. So it's a little bit easier to see in the back. So there's the greater one. The lesser one only viewable from the anterior side. See the toes? The anterior side. So like when you stand, your toes point forward. When you're looking at a humerus, the toes point forward. I know they're not actually toes, but it's to help you remember it. All right. So what else do we need? We need the intertubercular groove. That's a fun word. Intertubercular groove. And remember when you say this, of the humerus, or identify this is the humerus. So the intertubercular groove is not shown in, oh, it's called a sulcus in the book, but the groove in the handout, both of those are acceptable. Groove, sulcus, same thing. So anterior view here. When you have your greater tubercle and your lesser tubercle, see how there's this groove that goes in between them, right in between them? That's where the bicep is going to anchor right there. So this is from the anterior view. Here's your greater, here's your lesser, right in between. Intertubercular. You can call it a groove or a sulcus. Sulcus is probably the proper anatomical term. Groove works fine too. All right. Now, let's go down. So this is going to be form the portion of the elbow. So this is the top portion of the elbow. Now, your first thing you have to have is your lateral epicondyle. So remember, medial, middle of the body, lateral, outside, away from the midline of the body. Now, okay, so that means our medial epicondyle is this one, the one closer to the midline. Because again, put it on yourself. When my arm is resting, this is too large for my arm, but this is the one that's in the middle, this one right here. So that's the one that's closest to my belly button. So this is your medial one. Your lateral, so from the back you can also find the medial. So the medial on this side is going to be this one. It's still closer. So here's the medial. The medial you can see from the anterior, also from the posterior. Now, your lateral you can only see from the posterior side. So here's the posterior side. Here's your lateral one down here. So the lateral one, did I get that right? I'm on the posterior. Yes. Okay, sorry. I was making sure I said that right. So here is your backside, looking at it. Yes. So here's my medial. So that means this is my lateral. From the back, yes, there's the lateral. Right there. Lateral epicondyle. Right there. All right. Sorry, making sure I got that right. So there's the lateral one from the back. So medial you can find from the front and the back. The lateral one only on the back, right down there, because you can't see this groove under it. So it's under this big toe area here. So there's the back. There's the lateral epicondyle. All right. Next, the trochlea. The trochlea, easiest to see from the back, but the front here would be this portion kind of in the bottom. So there's the trochlea right there. So it's kind of like the back of these toes here. So there's the trochlea. But in the front, this bottom portion here also forms the trochlea in the humerus. Now the capitulum is this big toe right here. So see, this is your lateral epicondyle, the back of that. Here is the capitulum. That would be what articulates actually with the radius there. The coronoid fossa is this hole that's in the front. So remember, fossa is kind of a hole. So this hole that's in the front here above the toes. In the back, really easy to see. There's one in the back. This is called the Olecranon Fossa. So in the back, so olecranon means elbow. So this is the back of the elbow. So this is your coronoid fossa, Olecranon Fossa. So posterior view, anterior, posterior.